It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day in the mountains of southern Appalachia. Matt and I are out here in the garden. We're getting started late though, so we wish we'd already been out here before the heat got in. But
it never ever happens that way.
It does happen sometimes, but it didn't today. So anyway, we're out here seeing what needs to be done. This lower part of our garden in the front of our house is where our largest growing area is, and that's further behind the camera there. And then this lower part's kind of broke up into different little areas. And a large part of it though, right here where Matt's standing, from there down, other than the cold frame that we tried for the first time, there's really nothing growing there. So we're either going to have to just forget it this year or hurry up and get something in there. We've about waited too late for most things. But I've still not got my watermelons planted. I wanted to try some watermelons, so we might do that. And Matt has been putting, one reason we didn't plant anything here, he's been putting his supplies for the shed. You can see the shed over there. We're almost to the point where he's going to start roofing it. We're to that point really, so that's the next thing. So he won't need this little area anymore to stack up all of his lumber and all that. So once it's moved, that'll open it back up for growing. And then behind Matt over there, we still have a lot of the compost we bought earlier this year. So we want to put it to good use. We're going to spread some of it here. And then just on the other side of the camera is where we had got some radishes. I'm going to pull the rest of them up today and eat them. And then I planted our beets there twice. They didn't really come up good either time. And then we planted some lettuce twice that didn't come up good. So we're thinking we might just tear all that out and plant some okra. Is that what we said? Mm-hmm. Plant some okra in that part. Anyway, so mostly we'll be today concentrating on this part. From there down to here, if we get that done, we'll be doing good.
Yep.
If we get that done, we might fertilize a little bit. I wanted this year, we fertilize with compost, but we never usually fertilize throughout the growing, do we?
Not a whole
just
lot.
Sporadically, but this year I really wanted to try to do that. So we have one time about 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
going on 4 weeks ago. So if we're going to do that, we're going to again have to get on the ball with that too. So we might try to do a little bit of fertilizing just up here, not at the big garden. First thing we need to do to get started with our plans though is to move this lumber that's still here, and then we need to jockey all the cars out of the way so the tractor can get up in here. Moving cars is a regular part of our life since we don't have much room up here. And Matt loves it, moving cars. You could get a permanent valet, like remember when George took over the valet thing on Seinfeld?
About what I feel like.
And jockeying cars back and forth. If I can talk to Matt into it, I'd love to take Corey her green stalk too. I gave it to her last year and then we never got it down there. We can haul it in the tractor though. I do have some kale growing in one of them. We could just donate the kale to her. It's easier than driving it up, ain't it?
Yeah.
While Matt's taking the green stalk down to Corey's, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the rest of our beets in this row so we can plant something else. No one really loves beets but me, but I sure do love them. Well, Granny loves them. And I said beets, I meant radishes. You're probably already thinking, Tipper, those are not beets, they're radishes. Everybody loves the beets, but not so much the radishes. We're gonna have a salad for supper tonight, so that will be perfect for that. I'm just gonna pull the whole thing up. Normally I cut off, like I would cut off right there and let the lettuce have a chance to come back out, but since we're gonna till up this part, I'm just gonna harvest it all. Get those little bitty ones too. It'll make a tasty salad. Here's something you could put in your salad. This is purslane. We like to eat it. It has like it's kind of thick, so some people don't like that. You can see almost like a succulent, and it just grows wild. It's everywhere. I have it everywhere. So it's good. Throw it in a salad. In fact, I should probably just, since we're going to till this up, get a little bit of this anyway. Put it in a salad, but it's also good if you cook it up. I have a video, I'll link to it below, about how I like to cook it up. It gets on Matt's nerves because it gets everywhere, but it's tasty and it's just free. As a gardener, you think of it as being free.
Gonna do the watermelon?
I was thinking about it. Doing so many people told us that the watermelons would do good if we did like black plastic and planted them, around it, kind of like grow cloth. We ain't got no grow cloth though. Matt thought about using a black plastic trash bag. I thought about putting them in the corner of that little raised bed there. Maybe adding some more compost and putting them in it. And where you just did, maybe we could plant some winter squash. Here you can see the onions are still here, and those rows behind the onions are carrots, and they are there. They're hard to see, but they're there. I don't know if they're going to make anything this year or not, but they've all come up. They're just moving slow.
If you don't do squash there, then you don't really have to.
We're just going to do a few winter squash, yeah. You think that, and then put some of the compost down in that, fill that bed up kind of on that end, and maybe put some there.
Yeah.
Plow. Tell Papa I'll say plow.
There it is.
Plow.
Knew I heard it.
Say plow.
Good sizing.
See what she's hearing?
Excuse you. Excuse me. Say excuse me. Oh, I see. It's a bug. It's a spider. Spider. It's a spooker, huh?
Unknown, it says.
Did you see the bird?
Still calm.
Did you see the bird?
I knew I could hear it.
Bird.
I can still hear it.
Bird.
Flying over there yet.
And bug. Yeah, I don't know where the spider went. It's gone.
It went on the ground.
Bird. Bird. Tractor. 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 Yeah. Flower. flowers. See the flowers over there? Flowers.
It's still over there. It's calling back to you.
Matt and Katie are trying to entice the hawk to come back.
Baba. Baba.
It's calling to him.
It's a
You need to
bug.
teach me how to do that. I doubt I'd figure out, but that's
Bug.
really cool.
Ma.
Bug.
How'd you learn to do that?
Bug.
How do you do it?
Baba.
Go across the top of your tongue, through your teeth, or through your top, under your top teeth, like this.
It's gone. It's gone. That was a butterfly. Did you see the
It's still-
butterfly?
I hear it.
Butterfly. We got a lot accomplished down this way. We got those things took to Corey that needed to be done since last year. Got this little bed prepared down here, and then got this area prepared. Tomorrow is a better planting day than today, so we'll wait till tomorrow to actually plant anything. But I'm glad we've got it all ready. That's kind of a good way to do it, is do the kind of foundational part first and then do the easy part the next day. I do want to go back down there and add some compost to that. We made that raised bed as a cold frame, and then we planted some stuff in it. I'll show you how that stuff's doing. It actually, the beets and the lettuce in it actually did good. We planted them way back, of course, in the winter and had it covered. Anyway, I want to put, there's a corner that's open where we had some radishes and some turnips that are long since gone, and I guess that's where we'll try to put 1 or 2 watermelons and just see what happens. What Matt's doing over there at the beans is he's just scraping out a little place, and we're going to put some fertilizer. Now when it comes to fertilizer, what we're using is similar to a 10-10-10. It has potash, and I can't remember all the things in it. We shared it in a different video. But it's just, you have to find what works for you and what your personal preference is. And like I said, most years we don't really use fertilizer. We just use compost as a fertilizer. There's all kinds of compost teas you can make. I've done that one time, maybe a long time ago, which is kind of neat. Corey's actually doing it right now. We had the wonderful fish give to us by Ron and Daphne. Thank you so much for those. And I filleted out the fillets. We ate the fish, all of us together, and Corey took the rest of the fish home, and she's making like a compost tea with that. She's going to pour on part of her garden. So there's all different recipes if you look online, and they don't all call for fish. You don't have to have fish for them. You can also buy fish emulsion, though, to put on your garden. Anyway, lots of different ways to do it when it comes to fertilizing. This is the cold frame that we tried for the first time, and you can see the beets we planted in it did do good. Got beets, got some cabbage. That one's beginning to head up. There's some bug damage on them, though. That one's starting to head up too, though. A little bit of lettuce. I was thinking over in the corner there is where we could put the watermelons. I would shovel some of that compost in there, and maybe the metal would help keep them warm like everybody's talking about. Everybody suggested. I don't have any of the weed barrier, but I could probably get some. But then again, I'm running out of time as far as growing watermelons. Flowers in front of the cabbage are coming right along. This is the prettiest little patch of them, though. The rest of them's kind of spotty. But you can see the gazinias are going to be much smaller than the zinnias. That was my mistake there, not knowing what I was planting exactly. I planted some more zinnias out through here, so maybe they'll come up. This looks really good, don't you think, Matt? You agree?
Yeah.
These tomatoes are doing good. That's the Randy Hooper. You can see how tall they are out through there. I see a couple of blooms, but they're not blooming a whole lot yet. And then this back row of beans is the mother bean, mother Stallard. And they're doing really good. They're climbing. They look real healthy. Our other beans are not as far along as they are, but they're coming along. They're starting to climb, at least. They just don't look as thick and lush. Hey, Matt, come here. I got a surprise for you. Look.
You got tomatoes.
2 tomatoes. I looked, I didn't see any anywhere else, but I saw those. So many of you advised me about the tomato I broke. I never did come back out here and do anything about it, but you can see somehow it's still growing. So isn't that amazing? Plants really want to grow. And at this point, I'll just leave it like it is and see what happens. But a lot of you said taping it would work. Of course, I could break it off and root it in water and then replant it. I could probably just break it off and this part would grow up. There's lots of different ways, but seems like so far I'm being rewarded for my lack of doing anything. I was thinking our Tommy Toes would be the first one with anything on them, but so far I don't see any on them. Matt, do you? Oh, okay. Matt had to direct me. There, right there, there is a little one. All right, yay. A little bit of, it's probably where we pinned it up or clipped it up. A little leaf had died, but look at that. That's great. So we have 1 Tommy Toe and 2 Cherokee Purples. Yeah, we're very quickly going to have our first 2 squash there to eat. Oh, there's 3. There's actually 3 down there. You ready for some fried squash? Actually 4 if you count that. I get the leaf out of the way. If you count that little tiny one right there. And then I also noticed there's our first little zucchini down there. That's great. I also noticed our first cucumber blooms, which is really exciting. And the big volunteer that I've let grow. First bloom opened on it too overnight, or was that yesterday? No, that was the day before I was out here and saw that there was a bud right there, so it's opened up. I did prune it back some so that these cucumbers on this side could have more sunshine, and I swear I think they've grew already since I pruned it back. When I got in there and started looking, it was actually several plants. It wasn't just one big plant, so I just pulled some of them up.
What is that?
Pineapple. It is good too. You want a bite? Stick with your grape, your tried and true.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, it feels good on a day like today. It's hot. It's got hot. I think summertime's here.
Yeah, I'm afraid it is.
Garden's really looking good though.
Yeah.
We've about waited too late to plant anything else, the watermelon and the winter squash, because of where we live here on the north side of the mountain. We don't have I think our season ends earlier than most just because of lack of sunshine. It's still plenty warm all the way up through what, October?
Up into October, yeah.
In theory, we should be able to just keep right on growing, but we've tried it and it just peters out, as Matt would say, by that time. But we do have an awful lot planted and everything looks good. I shared a little clip of out of a magazine, an old magazine. It's wonderful how things like this happen. So a few weeks ago when we had our community singing, and I shared that with you. A lot of you come. That was so nice to meet you. It was so wonderful. And some of you brought us things. And one sweet dear lady and her family, precious family, they all come. And I think they come all the way from Chattanooga, so it was a trip for them. But she brought me some books she thought that I might want, just a little. One of them was by Barbara Swell, which we know from the folk school, like a cookbook. But the other one was a little pamphlet-like magazine made by I'm going to forget now who it was made by. I'll just link in the description below to the post on the Blind Pig and the Acorn so that you can see it. It was like the children's group, the children's home, something children's, remember now, I think it was Knoxville, Tennessee. Anyway, it was put out by them, and it was the spring edition. It was just real thin, but it was just a collection of different things about spring of the year and about Appalachia, collecting information from people. And so, of course, I thought, if there was a spring, there has to be a summer, and I really liked it. That's why I thought there has to be a summer and a fall and a winter somewhere. So I went to eBay. Lots of times on eBay you can find things like that, and searched 2 or 3 different ways. It took me a time or two, but then I found somebody selling all of them. It was them. I got 2 of those now, but they had everything packaged up except fall. I don't have fall of the year yet. Anyway, and they wanted $1. That's all they wanted was $1. So of course I had to pay the shipping or whatever that was, which was not much. It was $3 or $4, but very worth it to get that. Anyway, I'm telling all this to tell you, I shared a little piece out of the summer one on the Blind Pig and the Acorn recently, and it was about all the pestilence and the different things that you face gardening, the weather. If you're a long-time gardener, you know it's been too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry. We've experienced all that, haven't we?
Right.
Then there's the bugs you face. Recently, Corey had like a little infestation just in one plant, maybe 2. And she'd never seen a bug like that, so she called me and asked me about it. And I said, well, I don't know without looking at it. She said, well, researching online, I found, I think it's a thrip. Thrip? Have you ever even heard of that?
Mm-mm.
And I said, so I Googled it and said, is this what it looks? She said, yeah, I just did that. I know that's what it looks like. I said, well, I don't know. I guess that's what it is. And I said, I've never even seen one, but maybe it come with a plant she had bought or something, and then it hatched out. That's what happened. Anyway, and then she was also fighting some, and I've had a little bit of that in some of my grow bags, it got too wet with all that rain we had and caused just the plants not to thrive because it can be too wet for plants. Anyway, and the little excerpt from the book, though, even talks about, of course, in days gone by, there was people, even killed gardening, thinking about, and still today, farm equipment, tractors turn over on people, things like that. It's really sad. So it's just making the point that if you do grow your own food, there's all these battles that you have to fight. From Matt calls it pestilence, the bugs and the stuff, to the weather. Of course, they mention snakes. Sometimes people ask us about snakes. We don't really have, we have copperheads and rattlesnakes that are poisonous, and we rarely see them. And we rarely really see, what do we have? Garter snakes, the little earth snakes.
And ringneck snakes, and earth snakes, and water snakes.
Black snakes.
Mm-hmm.
We see probably black snakes and the little garden type snakes the most.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time they skedaddle if they hear you pushing around in the leaves or something. But, and luckily for our family, my extended gardening family and Matt's family, nobody's never been bit by a snake while they were gardening. But that could happen, of course.
I've been bit by snakes, but not when I was gardening.
How'd you get bit?
I've been bit a bunch of times when I was young, catching
Handle
Yeah.
them.
Trying to reach and get them before they get down the hole or get in the creek. And just when I was young, I'd catch them like that all the time, and I'd get bit.
Did you ever get, not sick, but did it ever get infected or anything?
It'd fester up a little bit because, a snake's nasty. A snake's mouth's nasty, but never anything bad. Now that I've got older, I realize I know better than to grab snakes.
Yeah.
Although I did catch one after I was grown. It didn't bite me, but I did catch it, and I thought of that, and I turned it loose, and I don't think I ever tried to grab another one.
I have a snake story, but you remind me of it. Let me finish my thought about the little book.
Okay.
But anyway, he was just making the point that in days gone by, when people had to have their food, it was either that or starve to death. There was just so many different things to face. And of course, I was thinking about Corey and her recent little facing things, and thinking about our dreaded squash bugs that me and Matt have to face. And last year was so dry, and even way back to when one time cows come across the pinhook lead and got in Pap's garden and destroyed it. And just different things like that can happen to you. But even all of those obstacles, I would still want to garden.
Oh, yeah.
It just does something really good for me. And of course, there's the eating the wonderful food, growing food for your family, putting it up, all that's wonderful. And I just couldn't imagine, even in the face of all that, I would just continue. Now, they had to continue because they, might starve out, but I would, I might not starve physically, but I might starve spiritually or mentally. It just does me so much good to be outside and being in the garden, even on a hot day like today, even in the heat.
The idea of a spring come and we didn't plant a garden and you look out the windows and there's nothing but weeds there, that's just unacceptable, and that's not happening.
Until we have
we can't.
to. Right, like Granny.
I don't know what we'll do then.
I don't know, be sad, but Granny, I have to take up crocheting like Granny. Or something, I have to do something.
Probably have to put you in a nut house.
Well, probably. You could make me a little, if I just had a little, which our problem, again, I can't even have growing things in the house because there's not enough sunshine coming in the windows, but if I had a little, like a sunny window and I could plant stuff there or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be right not to grow a garden. Even though it's a lot of work and to fight a lot of stuff, the thought of not growing one is I can't get into that. Don't want, especially not growing one just because I don't want to, because I don't want to put in the work. That don't compute in my head.
Well, it's part of the culture of Appalachia for people. You hear a lot of people say that. Well, Mama and them always grew whatever, and then that's why I want to grow it. But I'm thankful I got my love of it from Pap and Granny, and then I'm thankful that Corey, even in the, her little thrip infestation, and which we never even heard of or seen, and the other little battles, she's not going to give up. She's going to keep on because she loves it too. She's as excited about it as I am, which is really pleases me to no end, as you might guess.
Snake story.
Snake story.
I got all kinds of them.
You do?
Yeah.
This is just funny. You was talking about picking them up. Reminded me when Matt and I both worked at the college. We worked there for many years, The big to-do at college is the graduation, as you might guess. And it was really hard on Matt, and it's hard on me, our departments, not just us, because Matt was on the maintenance department, so that means, everything from cleaning and tidying up to putting out all the chairs to, I can't even remember all the stuff y'all had to do.
Mowing the whole place,
mowing,
and weed eating.
making sure it's all spotless,
Yeah.
everything you have to be top notch. And especially that, because you still got students in there, so you kind of got to wait to those last few days, and then you're doing it all. Y'all would work what? Gosh.
Graduation day, we'd work, 16, 18 hours that day.
And then...
Because after it was over, then we had to be there to put everything up.
Yeah, and
that
then you
night.
had to put it all back.
Because they had another different graduation the next morning.
Which was small, so you didn't want all the chairs and all the stuff.
So we'd have to redo all that in the night and clean everything up and get ready for that one the next day. So yeah, it was hard time.
And then for me, being in the marketing department, that meant I had to be there to take pictures and to do social media and to do all that to help, make sure all those students had their memories captured somehow. And leading up to that, even there was all these, like Matt said, little kind of pinnings and all different little graduations from our technical programs, and then the big one, then the GED was the next day. Anyway, it was a really, really busy time for both of us. But my snake story happened at one of them. You might remember now that I say it. So on the day that on graduation, the parking lot's packed and people, there's too many cars. So that's another thing they did was park people, try to, be the valet service there, direct traffic. Yeah, there you go. And well, I was usually out there during that because we would line up in one building, so I'd be all with the students with their gowns and their hats and taking pictures and, you know, whatever. And then I would walk with them, like one, you know, there was different people in the marketing department, but we would walk with them so we could get them, you know, pictures of them all the way to the thing, building the excitement, you know. Anyway, we seen a snake. Somebody seen a snake, and there it was in the middle of all the people outside. And so Matt's boss, Tim Nicholson, it was just a black snake, but he just reached down and picked it up, and he was directing traffic. So then he just kind of put his hand behind his back because it just immediately went around his arm. So he just put his hand behind his back, and he was still directing people, and he had that snake on his arm behind his back. But it was really great, wasn't it? It was funny.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, but him doing that, just we all were so exhausted that like give us a moment of laughter and just like it'll soon be over. It'll soon be over.
Yeah. He was a fantastic boss. Good guy.
He was, yeah. And still is.
He's still there?
I think. I don't know if he was about to retire the last I heard, or maybe he just retired. Anyway, but that was funny. So that was my snake story. Now you said you got several. What kind of snake stories you got?
I've got Daddy caught one time that same way.
Put it on his arm. It went around his arm.
And it was a big snake. It was a black snake, but it was a big one. And we were on a hunting trip, and we had a small piece of land in a different part of the county that we hunted on than where we stayed. We hunted it too, but occasionally we'd go to this other piece of land. And for some reason, we took one of the other guy's trucks with us that time. And he was deathly afraid of snakes, this guy. Well,
I can see where this is going already.
we were on our way back out that morning after we hunted and come upon this snake, and Daddy just dove on it. I said, "What are you going to do with that?" And he said, "Well, aggravate old Jack with that. He's scared of snakes." Well, we had his truck, and that thing wrapped around his arm. We got up out of the truck with it, and we was trying to find something to put it in, you know, to hold it till we got back to where Jack was, so he could scare him with it and whatever he's going to do. And we found, the only thing we could find was a paper grocery bag, you know, like they used to make.
Yeah.
And got the bag open and couldn't get the snake loose, so Daddy run his arm down in it, and I just went to peeling it off his arm and got it dropped in that bag and just rolled the top of it up. We got in the truck and cranked up and drove up out of the woods and got onto the highway and started down the highway. And that thing went wild in that bag. It went to thrashing and jumping around, and it finally knocked the whole side of the bag open and was coming out in the truck. And Daddy said, "Lord, don't let that thing get loose in this truck. He'll kill us." And the only thing I could think to do is I rolled the window down and just throw the bag, snake and all, out the window going down the road. And that was all we could do. And we told him about that at some point. I don't know if it was then or what. And he said, "You better be glad you didn't get here with that." He said, "Don't you be bringing no snakes around me." He said, "No, I like both of you." He said, "But I'll hurt you." Always got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
He's a big old, at that time, big old strapping, stout man, but now he is scared to death of a snake. And you could run him around if you had a snake in your hand.
Gosh. And your daddy took every opportunity to aggravate
Every
him.
opportunity he could get.
Of course, he probably dished a lot out to your daddy, too.
He did,
Yeah.
but Daddy.
Your daddy's the king of that, though.
He spent decades doing that to that one guy, just pestering him and aggravating him like that, and still to this day does, probably.
Yeah.
I think old Jack, he's got kind of feeble and sick now, and it's probably not as intense as it once was. This was years and years and years ago. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember y'all doing stuff to each other that when me and Matt dated, and I guess when we was first married, you was still hunting there.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
I hunted there till about 15 years ago.
Yeah. And we'd see him, go over there and see him and stuff.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. I've seen snakes, but I've never had the urge to pick them up. Even the little, Corey and Katie will pick up the little earth ones and garter snakes. They'll pick them up, but I've I just
Well,
say,
Binks,
I say, go along, go on, go along.
Binks will pick up everyone he can get
Yeah.
and drag it into the house, into the basement.
Yeah. Granny is like that. She's terrified of snakes, but that didn't stop her from. You hear lots of snake stories about the blackberry patch. That didn't stop her from going. She'd take her. She'd get her this get up. She'd wear Pap's pair of his pants and a long sleeve shirt and a hat and boots and tuck her pants down in her boots, and she really looked funny. She'd go have a hat, one of Pap's hats on, and she'd go off down the road with her hoe and her bucket. And one time I asked her, I said, well, what did you, because when I was little, of course, I didn't pay her no attention, but after I was grown, I said, well, when you do that and you take that hoe with you and you've seen a snake, she'd use it to like push around in the briars and hope they went away. But I said, well, if you ever seen one, would you be able to kill it if it was a copperhead or something? She said, oh, no. And I said, well, what did you do if you seen one? She said, oh, I did. And I said, what did you do? She said, I'd go get your mama. And she'd come take care of it. She said, I'd go get her. And she said she wasn't afraid of nothing. She'd come handle it. Wow. But overall, we don't see very many, so we don't see many. People ask a lot about bears, too. We don't see many bears, but they are here. Matt sees them in the woods, I should say. We don't see them in the yard. Matt sees them when he's hunting. He sees a lot of bears.
I have seen them a couple of times in the yard here, but over 30 years, that's not very many times.
In our area, bears are like deer. There's way more than there used to be. When I was a girl, you never seen a deer and you never seen a bear. I mean, I still to today can remember the story of Miss Odom seeing a bear in her yard, and it was just like, and now, lots of people have problems with them being in their trash. If Matt puts his trail cam out, he gets, was that last year was there a bear with triplets? A bear with triplets. So he gets pictures of them, and then we, like Matt said, have occasionally seen them in the yard. But when I was a girl, you didn't see bear and you didn't see deer. And now you can't drive to Clay's without seeing, I don't know how many, 20 deer or something.
Yeah, there's just
way too many.
There is too many deer, and it's going to come to a head here shortly, and they're going to get sick.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stems from, it's good habitat for them, and it always has been. They just weren't here.
Yeah.
But when they arrived here from south of here, I would imagine, they just migrated from south. When they got here, they just kind of exploded, and then there's just so many people that have posted land and don't allow hunting and don't like hunting, don't like people that do hunt.
Yeah.
And then they in turn feed them, which, whatever, you do whatever you want to do. But before long, they explode, and they just overpopulate like they are now. There's a tremendous amount of deer
Oh,
here.
my goodness, there's so many.
But there is such a thing. Anywhere you find them is more than the land will support, and nature will take care of that.
Yeah.
And that's way worse than hunting them.
Because they die a slow, agonizing death. For several weeks or a month or two or whatever, I've been riding the little church van to take kids home and pick them up for our Wednesday night service. And I cannot believe how many deer. I know there's deer, but now I'm getting through Martin's Creek, getting a first-hand view on my weekly tour of Martin's Creek. I just can't believe it.
Ain't it?
Amazing. You see 2 or 3 here and maybe 1 there, but then you'll see a field with looks like 20 in it. And then a little bit down the road, you'll see another field with that many. I seen a garden that was all enclosed, a little bitty small garden, not even as big hardly as this shed, maybe about half as big as a shed. And then on all the outside of it, there was deer.
Yeah.
There was 5 deer and 4 deer. Those people had it all closed in. They wasn't in their garden, but it's man, but I can't believe how many we see just every week, seeing them. There's lots of them. While we've been talking, I'm sure you've heard our deer alarms go off. They've been working so far again this year. So far so good. They may not always, but they do so far.
They are terribly annoying, but they do work.
And that what you just heard them going off was probably because it's windy. It was probably something blowing instead of actually a deer. Might have been a dog or a bird or something like that too. It's not so bad here in the shade.
No, not too bad.
It was
We'd
awful.
have some more shade if I hadn't fouled up yesterday
Oh,
on the metal.
yeah. Matt had a little uh-oh.
Yep. Yeah, I did a little bit of mismeasuring on my metal roof, and I had got started putting it on yesterday morning and quickly got stopped when I figured out I had messed up. So we got to change gears and do something else.
It's actually going to work out okay, though. We were either going to have to buy the stuff to go around the sides or buy the roof. I mean, that's what really you could have used the metal for going around, but then we wouldn't have been enough for the roof, and I mean, you wouldn't have had none for the roof, but then if you used it on the roof, there wouldn't be hardly enough to go around. So we're just going to use the metal, the tin that come off our house to go around the sides now.
Yeah, and we're just
And
going
we'll
to
have to buy
new metal for the
Metal
roof.
for the roof, so that Matt don't have to take anything down, because we're going to have to buy something either way, so that'll be easier to do that.
What I did was I measured the holes that were already in the tin from being on the house, and I stripped the roof, I thought, according to where those holes were, and I missed by about 1.5 inches. And all the old holes were going to be exposed, and which would mean it would leak in here, and I didn't want that. So
And you could try to stop them up or whatever, but it still would be. In the long run, I think the brand new metal will last longer than that. I mean, because it does have the holes in it
well, one good thing is it means that now we've got more than enough to
to do the outside.
do the sides and the
Yeah.
gable ends of this thing.
Yeah. So it'll be all right.
And I had at once thought about, putting wood around this thing on it for the walls, mostly just because just for the stoutness of it. But then these lower walls are taller than 8 feet, and I was going to have to join it, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it and make it look like anything, so it'll be easier to do with the tin. So, and we've already got it, so you might as well use it.
Yeah, all right. So it'll turn out all right.
If I can ever get to it and really get on it and get it done.
Well, you're ready now to go to town on that part, and then, like Matt said, once he gets the roof totally done, the bottom part will be easier because you just won't be climbing up and down all the time.
Yeah, that there crawling across them rafters and stuff has made me
Made you sore?
sore and stiff and
Stove up?
ill-tempered, in case you hadn't noticed.
You've been stove up and your elbows and your
Yeah.
knees and your...
Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff no more. I'll be glad when it's done.
You're getting there.
I won't take on a project like this anymore.
That's what you say. You've said that before. Which we ain't got no more room for you to do nothing here unless you hire out for somebody.
Yeah, right. And I ain't
We ain't
gonna
got
do
no
that
room to do nothing else. But
either. At the pace I've been going, they wouldn't keep me hired long.
it's turned out to be nice though.
It'd be
Little,
nice.
even Matt putting the stripping on it made it look even more like a shed, I guess. But you and
More
Paul
common.
together start on the 10. It shouldn't take too long.
I'll call it a barn now instead of
A barn.
shed. I've always wanted a barn, never had one.
You-
Well, I did too when we was young. We had what might possibly pass for a barn, but I'm gonna call this the barn.
Even though it's really just a shed.
The barn dominium.
The barn dominium.
How's that?
Matt's taught Ira to say barn, so he likes to
Yeah, he comes up and points and says barn,
barn.
and he wants to come down here.
Oh,
What he
yeah.
really wants is you to set him down in here so he can walk on all the nails and the boards
Yeah,
and stuff you don't want him to do.
yeah, and pick it all up and talk about it and go, ah.
Mm-hmm.
He's excited about it. He's not a toy boy, but he's all about anything that you have, a grown up, like if it's the tools and the stuff or whatever.
Anything that's sharp and pointy,
He wants it.
that'll hurt you, that's what he wants.
He got really excited about the tractor or the plow this morning, the tiller.
He hadn't never seen the tiller before.
No,
had
he liked that. He thought that was the best thing ever. Really did. Well, I guess you're about ready for dinner, ain't you?
It's past dinner time, and I'm ready to eat something.
Too bad you don't have a big red tomato to make you a sandwich.
Boy, that'd be good.
Counting down the days, ain't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to that.
Now you got a few options out there if they Those first, we'll have to pay attention, those Cherokee Purple, see if that's the first ones. If they make it, if none of that pestilence and weather and all that get them, they'll make it to be ripe and be on your sandwich.
Now I've got another quandary, another problem.
Why?
I like those hot pickled tomatoes so well that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
worried that I'm going to pick so many of them green, I ain't going to have many of them that's red.
Yeah,
Because my goodness, I like those things.
yeah,
And I'm going to make a bunch of them again because I'm down to, I think, 1 jar left.
yeah. You could wait. I mean, I think if you wait till the end, whatever, because fall, usually our tomatoes still have some green ones on it by the time they're just not going to have time to get ripe, so you can use all those. We have to. You can buy green tomatoes too.
Yeah, I guess we
Come on.
could. Boy, I
I
like
mean,
those
it's up to
things.
you. You're
Easy.
whatever you want to do, but
Easy as them things is to make, and as much as I like them, we need 100 jars of them probably.
yeah. And if you would like to see how to make them, we have a video, so I'll put that link in the description. Matt's hot tomato pickles. Him and Austin love them. They're too hot for me and Corey and Katie, but they love them.
I believe I could live on them.
Yeah, you're sounding like me with watermelon. I have a watermelon up there. It's calling my name too, so I'm hungry. I gotta cut it. Let's hope it's a good one.
Daddy told me again on the phone this morning that watermelon ain't fit to have for the 4th of July.
I just have to beg to differ. I've been eating some really good ones.
I told him on the phone, you're just buying them in February. And eating them.
That's
He
try-
said, my goodness, they sure ain't fit to eat. And I said, no, they ain't, but she's buying them.
I was trying anyway.
Cut them open and they're pale inside.
Yeah, I love watermelon. Love it, love it, love it. Well, we sure are glad when you stopped by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and hope you enjoyed seeing how the garden's coming along, and hope you'll just keep dropping by till Matt's eating that eating that first tomato sandwich.